Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on Smarter CER Maintenance, Achieving Efficiency, Consistency, and ROI with AI. This was a very popular topic. We had a huge number of people pre-register for this webinar. And since most manufacturers are now in their maintenance phase for their CERs, we understand why this was such a relatable topic for so many people. A quick background about Celegence. We provide technology-empowered regulatory services for pharmaceutical, medical device, and in vitro diagnostic device manufacturers. We've written hundreds of CERs, and we also maintain these documents year on year for our clients. And we have a lot of great lessons we've learned on the way, and we're excited to share our insights with you all. We're also headquartered in Chicago with delivery centers in India and Netherlands and partner offices all around the globe. On our panel today, we have Dr. Pratibha Mishra. Dr. Pratibha is an associate director in the medical devices team in Celegence. She brings deep expertise in clinical evaluation and regulatory strategy across simple to complex devices, including software. She has extensive experience supporting manufacturers through MDR scrutiny and addressing notified body observations. Dr. Pratibha, we are delighted to have you with us today and excited to hear all your insights.
Thank you, Shruti. Glad to be here.
Next, I'd like to introduce Rohan Sathe. Now, Rohan brings over a decade of experience in clinical evaluations and PMS with a strong focus on managing large device portfolios. His hands-on experience with CER and PMS documentation gives him a practical view on scaling maintenance effectively. Rohan, wonderful to have you with us today.
Thank you, Shruti. Happy to be here. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
So let me quickly walk you all through what we'll be covering today. We'll begin by discussing why CER maintenance is becoming increasingly complex, particularly under MDR expectations and portfolio scale. From there, we'll look at how smart solutions can support compliance without increasing the manual workload. Also, the chat panel is open throughout the session. Please feel free to share your questions or reflections as you go. We'll consolidate and address them during the Q&A at the end. Over to you, Dr. Pratibha.
Thank you for summarizing the objective of the webinar so well, Shruti. We wanted to bring to the audience the gist of our experience so far as a service provider in the medical devices field, and the expertise that Celegence brings to the table. We wanted to share the insights from all of our clinical evaluation, PMS, and notified body interaction related projects where we have supported several small to large manufacturers in their regulatory journey. We are right now at a stage where a lot of our customers are in the maintenance phase of their clinical evaluation and PMS documents, specifically speaking with reference to EU MDR. Of course, there are a lot of other countries and regions where regulations are evolving and expectations of the competent authorities are evolving. And as a manufacturer, they, especially the large global manufacturers, they have to navigate all of that. What we have learned from our experience, or if I just talk about myself as a clinical evaluator, let's say at the time when EU MDR was new or relatively new, or even when we were doing this for compliance with MDD, the directives in the EU, these reports were small documents. We just considered data from or content from different parts of the technical file. We updated these reports, and that was it. It wasn't a very stressful or very complicated process. Eventually, once there was more clarity on what is expected, there were more guidances published from MDCG. We went through a lot of notified body observations and reviews and remediating documents to close those observations. We now understand that a lot of it has to do with the scientific depth of content in these documents, alignment of information across different documentation, especially if you have similar devices in your portfolio, there has to be consistency, etc. And that is a very different landscape compared to, even 3 or 4 years ago. So because of that, we've been hearing repeatedly from our customers how this has become just doing it at a level of, at a scale where a large manufacturer may need to do it. It's becoming a big hassle for the for the people in power who have to make decisions related to operations, etc. Um, not only the scale of what we need to do, it is also to do with the fact that a lot of these a lot of this is instigated because of the kind of reviews and the kind of feedback that these teams are getting from their notified bodies and their reviewers, and obviously that applies to everything that they're doing for their entire product portfolio. I think what we have learned is that maintaining these CRs, it's no longer just responding to specific observations, closing it, moving to the next one. It has become a continuous process, and it's just operationally, it's become very difficult to manage. Speaking of notified body feedback, actually, Rohan can highlight more on why this is a big factor that is influencing how companies need to maintain these documentation. Rohan?
Sure, Pratibha. Thank you. So let's talk about what is really changing as we move into the renewal cycle. So renewal reviews are no longer just about checking whether a CR exists. Notified bodies are increasingly looking at how well the evidence has been maintained over time. So they expect continuity of clinical evidence, meaning the CR should show a clear and logical evolution rather than periodic reactive updates. Another major focus is the state of the art. So reviewers now expect that SOTA reflects the latest scientific literature and current clinical practice, not information that was valid only at the time the original CR was written. So, for example, if you have a dialysis portfolio or a similar device family, advances in treatment approaches and competing technologies or updated clinical guidance need to be reflected consistently across the CERs. Otherwise, the gaps become visible during review. Similarly, acceptance criteria and clinical conclusions need strong scientific justification, and they must remain consistent across versions and related documentation. So, what we are seeing in practice is that small inconsistencies, things that might appear minor individually, accumulate across cycles and eventually show up as a major audit finding. And this is exactly where many organizations run into challenges because even though expectations are increasing, the way CERs are maintained often hasn't changed. So we
Yeah.
still tend to treat maintenance the same way we are treating writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just something your writing team or clinical affairs team or regulatory team has to manage in a silo. It's something that requires cross-functional collaboration. It's something that has become a governance challenge and not just something that has to do with creating some documents and moving on. And obviously, when you multiply that by scale, when you have 100, 200 or more products in your portfolio, this complexity is not, increasing linearly. It's becoming an exponential challenge. You have evidence being shared across different tech files. You have similar claims, clinical approach. So feedback on one or any changes to one is obviously applicable across your portfolio. In your recertification or surveillance audits, whatever observations are coming in, as just for regulatory compliance, you want to make sure that it is consistent across the technical files. And doing all this manually requires so much effort and so many resources that it's not sustainable at all. That's what we've been seeing in the last couple of years. And it's hard to predict what the timelines will be. It's hard to predict what your budget will be for maintaining regulatory compliance. And so it's a risk from an operational as well as a regulatory perspective. This is something
Great. Yeah.
that a lot of our customers are dealing with, and that's where we've been able to support them, and we've understood a lot from these experiences.
Yeah, so I would like to add here, like many organizations still approach CR maintenance as an extension of CR writing, but in reality,
Yeah.
these are two very different activities. So when we write a CR, we are basically building evidence. The work is project based. There is a clear start and end point. We gather literature, evaluate data, define clinical conclusions, and then finalize the report. Maintenance, however, operates very differently. Its objective is not to create a new clinical narrative every time, but to ensure that the existing clinical evidence remains valid, aligned, and traceable as the product evolves. And this is where the complexity enters. So, maintenance requires a strong version governance. So, understanding what changed, why it changed, and ensuring updates remain consistent across the previous version. So it also requires adherence to the periodic update cycles, which means timing becomes just as important as the content quality. At
Yeah.
the same time, it also requires risk-based prioritization because not every device or every update has the same clinical or regulatory impact. And
Mhm.
finally, it requires portfolio synchronization. So making sure related CERs evolve together rather than drifting over time. So it's less about writing and more about governance, as Pratibha mentioned. So governance of evidence, timelines, and consistency.
Yeah. And a lot of this is not apparent, right? It's not something that is really detectable or really something that's ringing true to people unless you look deeper into it and you realize there's hidden cost in this entire maintenance process. You're dealing with so much of it, large portfolio sizes, like we discussed. There's so much duplicate work to be done if we are considering applying the same changes across different technical files. Um, Maintaining the periodic update cycle that is defined, especially imagine for manufacturers that have high risk devices, you have a 2B implantable or class 3 under EU, which means you have to update your CRs annually. And we have spoken to customers who, they are in a situation where by the time they complete their annual update, it takes them 6 to 7 months, sometimes 10 months to do that. If it's going through notified body review cycles, and by the time they're done, it's already late for the next annual update, and that there is a constant risk of missing those regulatory deadlines, and not to mention the amount of burden that these teams have to bear because of this kind of work that's being done. So it's resulting in a consumption of the bandwidth that your SMEs have, who are, people who are busy, people who have a lot on their plate, and they're getting exhausted in just maintaining the existing documentation. And so you need support, right? You need additional resources
Yeah.
that involves cost. You that affects your budgets, your timeline. How do you plan for this? How do you plan your budget if you don't know how much time it's going to take or how many people it's going to take? If you don't have a consistent process and everything is, manual, and everything is being handled in that way.
Yeah. Thank
If
you.
you can move ahead, Shruti, there's a point that I wanted to make, an additional point I wanted to make when we speak about scale and the hidden cost. And I think, Rohan, you're going to probably bring up the same
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
that, again, there's a multiplication factor here when we're talking about large portfolios, because if you are, let's say, an orthopedic implant manufacturer, you have multiple hip implants, knee implants, other devices that are used in the implant system, surgeries. And all of them have their dedicated technical files, dedicated clinical evaluation. And these are devices that, even in annual updates, you have a lot of data to process and to go through. And these are large, large documents. So for the SMEs to go through this process and update it, it's very time and effort consuming, and is costly to the organization just to maintain compliance. In fact, EU MDR has led to so many manufacturers, doing a full overview of their entire portfolio to see if it even makes sense to maintain these products in the market in EU, if it's leading to so much of additional or hidden cost just to maintain compliance.
Yeah, and
Right.
in fact, we are currently working with clients managing portfolios with more than around 250 technical files. And the challenge
Yeah.
is rarely the quality of individual CRs. The real challenges is maintaining consistency across all of them. So at this scale, evidence is like often shared across device families, and clinical claims, risk, and approaches can be very similar. But yeah, if
Right.
updates are not aligned properly, small differences starts appearing. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
and yeah.
There's also
Yep.
an additional impacting factor here. When we speak of notified body reviews, you've signed up for a review, for a tech file clinical review with your notified body, and there is a timeline when that has to be completed. And if there are gaps pointed out in the sufficiency of evidence or the literature search and review appraisal process has not been done in a manner that the notified body expects. These are all major observations in your clinical evaluation. That's going to take, you will have to go back to your drawing board and restart. Almost 70-80% of the CR you would have to do it again, and that's going to result in, again, additional effort, additional time, additional cost, because you may not in your manual process be able to complete this entire activity within your timeline of review, and you may have to resubmit the documentation at a later date once all these updates are made, which is that's going to lead to, obviously, resubmission cost, and the whole gamut of steps and things that have to be done as part of notified body review process.
Yeah, and adding to the this cost factor. So in fact, in like one of our ongoing projects, a senior SME shared an important insight that ideally only about 10 to 20% of her time should have been spent on CER maintenance activities, but in reality, she is spending almost 70 to 80% of her bandwidth on maintenance alone. So that means
Yeah.
la highly skilled experts who should have focused on clinical strategy and decision making are tied up managing repetitive updates, and that's is why we call it a like a hidden cost that manufacturers to
Yeah,
bear.
and
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it's something that you have to do. It's, we are regulatory professionals, so we talk about regulatory compliance, but in the end, it's for the patient's safety. It's for, for maintaining a device on the market that the patients need, that the healthcare professionals need for doing what they need to do, and to ensure that that's available for them. This is a requirement as a manufacturer that has to be done. We've talked about so many problems. We know this problem exists. I'm sure a lot of the attendees in the webinar would also agree that this is a problem that needs to be there needs to be a solution for this problem.
I agree. I'm actually curious if anyone from our attendee list also feels the same about all the on ground challenges that both of you have just discussed. So we have a quick poll here that, okay, right. The poll question should be visible on all of your slides. If you all could take a quick minute to just tell us if all of these challenges relates. Oh wow, I can see these numbers changing live. And
it's it's something we hear from our customers all the time, and I think the industry is pretty much poised to move in the direction where there has to be a solution for this, because it's becoming unsustainable.
Yes. We still have some
I'm
answers coming
curious
in.
to see the result of this poll.
We'll wait just one more minute and then we can publish the results.
Even in situations where there's already a streamlined process for how this needs to be done, um, there's always benefit to bring more efficiency into your process, right? As an organization, everyone wants to have a lean, um, less, let's say, cost-effective process in place.
Right, the results are out. Are the both of you also able to see them?
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that 44% of the audience is agreeing that they have also faced several of these challenges. 34% of the
right.
audience feels that this very closely reflects their reality. So that's, a significant portion of our audience, almost close to 75% of the audience thinks that, this is what they face on a day-to-day basis.
Yep. All right. With that, let
Yeah.
us jump to the next portion of our webinar.
Yeah, so the next step is moving beyond simply responding to observations and adopting smarter, more sustainable approaches. And this is where practical, like AI and automation-driven solutions begin to support compliance rather than complicate it. So, before we talk about specific applications, I want to acknowledge something important. There is currently a significant amount of hype in the market around AI and its role in medical writing. At Celegence, we have taken a very practical approach. We have conducted extensive research to understand where actually AI delivers value, especially for MDR and IVDR related documentation. So, through our analysis, we identified several clear categories where AI and automation can genuinely support CR workflows. So, first, the decision-making support. So, where AI help reviewers navigate a large volume of information and focus on what matters. Second, data collection and extraction, which helps reduce manual effort when working with literature or technical documentation. Third comes the summarization, where information retrieval and structured summaries help speed up early drafting phases. And finally, text generation, where AI assists with content creation while keeping experts fully in control. Oh,
Yeah, I think,
and
sorry, I was going to make a point. I was jumping ahead to make the point as an SME that, it's $1 million question right now, right? There's so much discussion about, and there are various schools of thought of how beneficial AI can be in this field, in the regulatory field, in medical writing. There are software, AI-enabled software on the market that's their claim is they can draft a full state of the art for you. So there's a lot going on in terms of innovation. But let's be honest, we do require a level of critical thinking, domain expertise, understanding of the regulatory landscape, which right now, as on date, is challenging for AI to fully replicate. In the future, maybe, who knows? Maybe that can happen. Speaking as someone who would never believe that you can use your phone to transfer money, make payments, but it's a reality now. So it's possible. Stranger things have happened, but in all seriousness, while that may not be the current situation, AI can certainly assist in the preliminary steps that lead to decision making, like what you said, Rohan, in identifying sources of potentially relevant data, extracting that information to make to summarize it in a format that is presentable. Basically, support the workflow in a way that leaves you time to deal with the analytical part, because a lot of the experts involved in this field, in your regulatory clinical affairs teams, these are people, highly qualified people. These are scientists, medical professionals, people who you would rather use their skills in directions where it provides more value, right? In innovation, in research and development, in strategy, instead of maintaining documentation. And so there is a lot of benefit to incorporating AI in that workflow, so that it can serve as a assisting tool. But obviously, there has to be a human in the loop. There have to be reviewers to ensure that the content is scientifically valid and it is accurate, because it is something that will go for review by competent authorities.
Agreed, Pratibha. Yeah. So let us now show you how we put these concepts into practice. So here at Celegence, we use our proprietary AI-assisted platform called Captus. The idea behind Captus is simple. Instead of using multiple disconnected tools, it provides a single centralized workspace where teams can manage their end-to-end CER and regulatory workflows. Everything starts with literature searches where teams can run and manage searches directly within the platform. From there, article data can be generated automatically, and key information from included articles can be extracted and organized efficiently. Once then the evidence is ready, teams can move directly into authoring reports. And importantly, this happens within the same environment. And then in addition to the literature, the system can also connect with adverse event databases such as MOD and TPLC, allowing teams to incorporate post-market safety signals into their evaluation workflow more efficiently. The review workflow, decision tracking, audit logs, and even ongoing maintenance activities are all managed inside the centralized system. So rather than moving between different spreadsheets, Word documents, and repositories, the entire life cycle from searching to writing to maintenance happens in one place. And that makes it much easier to create, track, and maintain regulatory submissions with consistency and transparency. So moving
I
ahead, so yeah. So
Sorry, I
yes,
just want to give
Pratibha,
a
you
little
can
bit
add
of
it.
a
So yeah. Hmm.
background as to why we developed this. Um, like I mentioned, we also have experts in the team who we want them to focus their efforts and energies and in the analytical side of things, in area where they're where it does justice to their experience as well, instead of going through multiple Excel sheets and trying to trace what information came from where, or editing grammar in a particular document, or making sure it's formatted in the right way, etc. So the idea behind the collaboration between our medical writing team and the technology team was to look at specific pain points in the regulatory documentation process, address those, and see if we can build a centralized system that makes it really efficient, easy to create, track, and maintain information. Because this maintenance activity is, it's not a one-time thing. This is something that we have to revisit again for high-risk devices every year. Even for the low risk, this is a 2-3 year update that you have to do if you have class 2A products in your portfolio. So it's 3 years later going back to a document and trying and figuring out what information came from, who was responsible, who to approach for information. It's a very people-based system. Even if you have document management systems and other streamlined other processes in place that streamline this activity, it's still staggered, segregated information. For external data sources, you're still going to multiple databases, trying to gather information from there. So this was really focused on minimizing these manual activities of trying to maintain traceability, or making sure we have the accurate source for each data, etc. And that is where the automation and AI has helped us with, in ensuring that there is traceability, ensuring that we are able to collaborate with multiple stakeholders within one environment, and get the output in a efficient way as compared to a manual process.
Yeah.
I think we have a couple of real life examples to share
Right.
with the audience, which will demonstrate the how this actually worked in real scenarios.
Yeah. So far we have discussed the challenges and the approach. Now let's see how this actually worked in real world projects. So in the first scenario, we were working on a class 3 defibrillator device that had received notified body observations. As part of the remediation activities, we needed to strengthen the clinical evidence and perform additional literature searches to support updated clinical arguments. So the challenge here was not just running searches, it was managing multiple iterations efficiently while ensuring consistency across the review process. So this is where Captus became very helpful because it allowed the team to manage literature screening in a structured and traceable way while working under tight timelines. So along with that, as the project progressed, the search strategy itself evolved, which is very common in real projects as well. So search strings were refined based on reviewer feedback and ongoing discussions findings. So normally this creates a major challenge because teams then have to rescreen the articles and previous decisions can easily get lost or duplicated. So, but within Captus, even when the search strings are updated, the decisions made on previously reviewed articles were retained. So the team could move forward without repeating work, which saved significant time and avoided inconsistencies in inclusion and exclusion decisions. Another advantage here is that once the screening and appraisal decisions are completed, Captus allows us to generate ready-to-use literature search reports directly from the system. So this saves significant time and ensures the documentation remains consistent and audit ready. And then once the screening was completed, we moved into the review and data extraction part. So traditionally, reviewers read articles and then separately capture safety and performance outcomes into extraction tables, which can be very time intensive. But here, during the L2 review stage itself, before like starting the L2 review, Captus allowed us to extract key safety and performance outcomes directly while reviewing the literature. So that means the extraction and review happened together, reducing duplication and making the process much more efficient. And then the final step was summarization. So using Captus Copilot, which is like a feature inbuilt, so the team could generate structured AI-assisted summaries of articles under consideration. So this didn't replace expert judgment. Reviewers still validated and refined the content, but it significantly reduced the time spent drafting first level summaries. So overall, what was the learning from this was the combination of structured searching and then preserved decisions, integrated data extraction, and then AI assisted summaries help the team respond faster to notified body observations while maintaining consistency and quality.
Yeah, actually, talking about literature search, one of the pet peeves that I have as a reviewer is, and I've been in this situation many, many times. I know other reviewers will agree with me, because the requirements for the literature protocol and traceability are so clear and so outlined. It has to be very clearly mentioned in the literature report. And we would always be stuck in a situation, like speaking of when our process was manual and before Captus, in here we call it as, before Captus and after Captus. But it was a situation where we had to we would always be stuck in this place where there's one article or one piece of information that is just, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out where it came from. And we had, pressing timelines, and, turnaround time was quick. And thankfully, that is not something that our team is dealing with. In fact, I think after introducing this, as establishing this as part of our process, feedback on literature search related aspects of clinical evaluation or other documentation is, minimal to no feedback. We usually, obviously, there's feedback from notified bodies around benefits and sufficiency of data and post-market clinical follow-up, processes, etc. But we have been able to establish a tech-enabled process that has minimized that risk or the risk of errors and consistency in this very important portion of the clinical evaluation process.
Yeah.
I am a little sorry to interject. We have some questions coming in the chat, and we want to ensure that our attendees get the best of both of your experience. So
let me share another real example. This one focuses on drafting and collaborative review challenges. So currently we are working with a client where the complexity is not just the document itself, but the number of stakeholders involved. So the project spans across 3 business units across different regions and time zones. And we are interacting with more than 50 subject matter experts throughout the overall process. So, and plus on our side as well, we have a team of over 15 members involved in authoring, reviewing, and coordinating inputs, which means simultaneous authoring becomes essential for maintaining timelines. So, in traditional environments, this level of collaboration can easily become chaotic, like multiple document versions, then overlapping comments, formatting inconsistencies, and long review cycles. So, when teams rely on tools like SharePoint or offline document circulation, collaboration slows down instead of accelerating. So this is where Captus helps significantly. Pratibha, would you like to share your experience with this feature as well?
This is actually a great example of what we were talking about scalability, right? When you're dealing with that kind of chaos, there's increased risk of non-conformances and having to submit to notified bodies all over again. Just being able to collaborate together well. Imagine, SMEs, and especially in this project, the one you're talking about, we've seen that there are people from all across the globe that are involved in a single CER. There's time zones to consider. There's the millions of other things that these SMEs have to do on a day-to-day basis that has to be considered. And it has really helped. And all of these, stakeholders that are involved, 10 to 12 multiplied by 250 have come in to, have mentioned multiple times that this has really helped them minimize the effort that reviewers need to put, and has freed their time as in-house SMEs to focus on their other responsibilities instead of purely maintenance. And it has helped us to significantly shorten the timeline from, I think, and this is coming from customers straight away, the 8 to 10 months that they were taking for their annual updates, that has come down to, I think, 14 to 15 weeks, and wrapping it up and moving on to the next thing. So there is significant value addition, which, coming straight from our customers.
As you mentioned about the automatic formatting removes manual styling effort, and as we can see on the screen, features like content traceability and data dictionaries ensure consistency across contributors, even when different teams are working in parallel. So that helps in improving efficiency.
There's so many aspects of just good documentation practice, right, that Captus takes care of us. And I don't think that my team would be willing to go back to the manual process, even if we really want them to. I also want to talk about another real life scenario that is relevant to discuss here. We had a customer that is in their maintenance phase. We've been working with them for the last 6-7 years now in helping them maintain their portfolio. And they had mostly 2A devices, some 2B here and there. And after one notified body feedback, they decided to sort of aggregate all of their products within same documentation. In this case, there were maybe 7, 8 different product families with multiple, hundreds of SKUs that they wanted to put into the same document. Now, strategically, it makes sense, right, from a maintenance perspective, but it's a new level of complexity because now it's not just one product line. There's multiple source documents, 600-700 page technical files. And it's not just the volume, it's also that the accuracy of information is correct. It's interpreted consistently. The information is summarized properly. So manually, this would have been an immense amount of effort, spending time sorting through source documents, extracting details, all of these, pre-processing things before the work is even ready to be started. And Captus really saved our lives over here with reducing the burden on the team, just the overall project team, the customers, as well as us, in making sure that it's all done in one place. And, there's the features in there which allow for something like the Copilot chat, where you can ask AI to summarize some portion of the technical file for you in the exact format that your template demands, and use that information after review. You can use that to search for information across the document. There's so many other features that we have that can improve consistency, reduce just overall time spent in doing all this, and reduce the burden overall. And like I keep saying, as an SME, just make your SME's lives easier, while also bringing in, efficiency and cost effectiveness in your process. I think we should summarize the key takeaways from this discussion. Should be, if you are a medical device manufacturer, especially managing large product portfolios, maintenance is a governance activity. It's a continuous activity. It's not, you can't just do it in 1 year and then wait for 2 years and start it again. There is very stringent requirements for consistency and traceability of information across your whole portfolio, not just one product documentation. And the manual models, manual processes are just not equipped to scale it across different portfolios. That's where technology and AI comes into the picture in increasing efficiency while maintaining a expert human in the loop. This helps you free your SMEs, free their bandwidth for effort that's actually valuable, which is strategy and innovation. As somebody in charge of operations, you will be able to have a predictable cost for regulatory compliance. You will know in advance what what is the timeline that you can achieve, what is the efficiency that you can bring in your process. Because the ultimate goal is to remain compliant while meeting all requirements of ensuring that the product is safe and is also something that you can get to the market and keep it on the market for the end user's benefit. Are there any questions? I think we have a few minutes. So, Shruti, if we have any questions that we can answer from the audience.
Yes, we do. So there's one question that says, could you elaborate on the best practices for integrating new literature into an existing MDR compliant CER, including reassessment of legacy data, impact analysis, and updates to clinical evaluation procedures and flowcharts?
Rohan, you would like to answer that?
Yeah, so for the existing data, like the CRs which are already written, so we have features like we can import the source strings directly. So if you have like maintaining it in Excel, you can directly import it into Captus, and for the next periodic update, we can update those and then carry the process in Captus. So yeah, like one time you'll have to import it, but then it will be like it can be maintained in Captus. So yeah.
I guess even in general, even
Mm.
if people do not have access to a platform like Captus, I believe it's
Mhm.
really, really important to have solid documentation the first time you do it, so that even if you pick up the same project again for maintenance, you spend minimal time trying to figure out what went in the last time and what needs to be updated. Because
Yeah.
from our own personal experience, also a lot of time actually goes in this background administrative task, just collating data. So that would be step one in general. And then if you can get hands on a tool, something even like Captus is brilliant because it lets you do the entire process end to end from literature to the actual drafting. But technology in general can be of really good use to help you get the ground level tasks done faster.
Yeah, and I think an advantage of Captus is that it was built specifically for this purpose, right? And it was built to address pain points in this process, bring effectiveness and cost reduction in this process. And the clinical evaluators were involved in this in the setup from the very beginning. So there's a very specific features and functionalities that will cater specifically to people working in this field. I want to address a comment from Belinda here. An additional source of uncertainty. I assume we're talking about the entire process of regulatory maintenance. Uh, Additional source of uncertainty is the variable timing for how long after submitting a CR it takes for the notified body round one questions to appear. Virtual audit timelines are also quite variable with large gaps between rounds. Absolutely. There is some acceleration in that process compared to 3 years back. But we are in a situation where you've submitted a file, it's undergoing round one or round two review. And by the time you've updated documentation of all your other products in that portfolio, similar products, and then you're getting feedback, which is impacting the rest of it. And by the time you close those observations, there's feedback on another technical file. We have a lot of customers, orthodontic implant manufacturers, interventional radiology devices, imaging devices, software, medical device software. These kind of devices where we've seen manufacturers really struggle with this.
Oh, there's one more, Pratibha,
There's
I think.
Yeah,
I
there's
was
another
thinking.
question here regarding the SOTA, the state of the art. The technology and development is already in its peak. And I think when the document is undergoing review and updates, there will be no changes in current practices unless some new technology arrives. So my question is it fine to have the same SOTA till new practice is adapted? I think Rohan addressed it briefly in the presentation. We have seen this as a practice that sometimes when let's say you have a dialysis device, right, or products that are used in the dialysis procedure, you maintain as a manufacturer a general SOTA document, state-of-the-art document that's referenced in your clinical evaluation for different products. But that still needs to be updated. If it's a 2B or 3 device, you have to update that every year. Now, dialysis in general, it's quite a stable and accepted practice. There's no huge amount of change in that year on year, but there's still an expectation that you update your clinical evidence with whatever new evidence is relevant to that particular therapeutic area or device or state of the art. So yeah, that would have to be done for all devices as part of your maintenance.
Yeah. And I see another question. This is regarding Captus. So this attendee is asking, I see that you're using Copilot within Captus. Can you speak about how prompts and responses with Copilot are maintained with the project? And does Captus access standard prompt libraries? So we call it Copilot. It can be slightly confusing to some users. This is not Microsoft Copilot. We're integrated with OpenAI's models deployed via Microsoft. So there are different ways that AI is being used in the platform, but everything is user led. So you as the user get to define how you want AI to work for you. So you define your prompts. You can set your prompts, save them at the project level, so that you don't have to re-prompt your articles over and over again. Just run them and it'll give you suggestions. And then you also have free chat options where you can just chat with AI as usual, or even give your source documents that you would need for your project, maybe your IFU or your technical files, non-clinical reports, anything that you need AI to look into, extract, give you information. That's also one way of using it. So the first option that I said, that is where Captus can save your prompt library for you that you create. And the second option, where that's the free flowing chat, those chats are private. Those are not shared with the rest of the project team members. But at the moment, there are no standard prompt libraries as such. It is completely based on the user depending on what they need AI to do for them.
Yeah, and for us that works, right? Because we work with multiple manufacturers, different kinds of devices, different kind of projects. But if you are if you are a manufacturer that has devices of a certain portfolio, there can be standard prompts that are generated as part of your projects,
Yes.
and that can apply. Yeah.
Yes, that is something that we can also help with. Yes, this person is very active. I like them. So they also had a follow-up question asking, how are you tracking changes and keeping a log of the exact text that was designed by Copilot? So we do this two ways. So if these are standard prompts that you're using for data extraction from literature, in your article history, you will see what did the AI suggest to you and what was the final edit or the final version that was saved by the writer, because the writer can also make edits to the AI suggestions. AI is not making any automated summaries for you. The writer is actively involved in approving if the content looks right. So all of that is tracked. So you can actually see what was given and what was changed. And then even every suggestion that Copilot gives you, whether it is a suggestion from something that was extracted from the literature PDF or even from any source document like an IFU that you provide, everything comes with a source link. So if you click on that link, you will be taken to the exact location in your document where AI got its answer from, so that it's also easier for you to verify whether content looks all right.
Yep. I see a question on can the workflows be modified to suit my organization's templates? I think Shruti or Rohan,
Yeah.
you can probably take that one.
So yeah, the
Yes.
software is customizable in terms of like the report writing module as well as the literature module. So we understand that each organization has a certain set of template. The captors can be customized according to the needs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was.
Jumping to Shruti, you get the next one. Meanwhile, can IVD projects be done? I'm just trying to ensure we address as many of them as possible. Can IVD projects be done on this platform? Yes, absolutely. Even for your IVD projects, the same concepts apply. You would be required to maintain your documents. You would have to, follow a systematic literature review process, and you have to, add data from your state-of-the-art and current clinical background, as well as from your device. So this can absolutely be used for, and we are using it for IVD projects as well. What else do we have here?
There's one more, Pratibha, if you could answer this one. What is a reasonable expectation on impact on time and cost of taking advantage of some of the points that you presented today?
If I understand this correctly, the question is about we've talked about so many advantages. We did mention some specific real life scenarios where there was a positive impact in terms of time and cost, but also in terms of just maintaining your compliance, reducing SME burden, reducing the non-conformances that you're getting, minimizing the risk of errors, inconsistencies, etc. I would say there is a sizable impact on reducing the efforts. I think the example I gave was for a class 3 device where you're doing it in 3 to 4 months instead of 8 to 10 months. There's also the aspect of resources. If you have, for these products, you have 50, 60 articles that are coming up in an annual or a 2-year update. Imagine having, medical writers try and sort through that data, create text, etc. So AI can pretty much serve as your medical writer, and then you work with that to finalize that content and address observations, etc., within a shorter timeline and with a cost-effective procedure.
All right. As we're coming to the end of our webinar, I just want to point out we have a complimentary CER maintenance impact assessment offer going on. So if you're interested, we offer a practical session where we can review your current process, identify opportunities for efficiency and audit readiness, and discuss tailored steps based on your portfolio. If that is something that you find valuable, I also have a quick poll here. You can let us know if you'd be interested in getting in touch.
I think there was a question on the cost of the service, and I think this speaks right to it. So if you're the attendee who had that question, please reach out to us or just take this poll and we'll reach out to you and share more information. While the audience is answering this poll, I want to quickly answer one more question. What kind of training is required to use Captus? Again, speaking as somebody who does not adapt very well to change and with new technology, this has been quite seamlessly integratable in our process. We have a team that Shruti is part of that team that will help you navigate it, help you integrate it within your current system, provide training, make sure that you're well equipped with using it. And we provide support for most of our customers. We do refresher trainings. We provide support throughout the process.
There is also one more question while the poll is still on. This one says, is there a specific method or built-in features to evaluate how good the retrieved literature are, and can Captus generate an overall summary on the same? So you can definitely use AI for this. How I've seen users do it. So by the time you reach your full text evaluation, you can add your own custom prompt, asking AI to evaluate literature based on the criteria that you set. And the answers that you get, they do not necessarily have to go inside a particular literature report, just for your own assessment. So that is a great way to use AI to give you a quick assessment whether something looks relevant or not.
We are out of time, but I'm going to take 5 seconds to answer another question. Is it suitable for small portfolios or only large manufacturers? I don't want to discourage, manufacturers that have one or, limited devices. Yes, absolutely. If you have a small portfolio, you likely have a very small team. We have some customers who have one regulatory professional, one clinical affairs professional. So this will definitely help you in maintenance and in the regulatory compliance process.
Well, all right. We are also done with time. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you so much to our panelists today. This was a great session. And see you all in our next webinars. All right. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.